Good evening, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy, coming to you live from Naples, Florida. I'm happy to say it is no longer the hospital in Houston, Texas. This is the first time I've done live in about 2 months because I missed the last one due to some health issues. Wanted to give you a bit of an update on that and a couple of projects. Get back in. Whoa, what the heck happened there? I lost you. Apologies. I'm feeling better. Things are much better. For those of you that didn't know, I'll just give you a little brief summary of what happened. Early part of January, I got diagnosed with cancer of the appendix, and that's a super rare form of cancer. About 1,000 people a year contract it, which, to put that in perspective, is less than the amount of men who get breast cancer. So it's super rare. Lucky me, I got diagnosed with it. They took my appendix out on the 4th of January, and they found out I had cancer in there. So on the 25th of February, they went in there and they carved out all the rest of it, and that went quite well. They took out my ascending colon, part of my small intestine, part of my liver, part of my abdominal wall. But the good news is that they think they got it all. So as of right now, I'm going to say cancer-free. The incision, for those of sick people who want to see what that looks like, is healing really well. I wouldn't say it's super comfortable. I'm not going to be back to work it out or anything over the course of the next couple of weeks, but I can walk around and I can certainly be in the shop talking sub stuff with you guys. So today, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Of course, if you have any questions about the RC submarine hobby, now's the time to ask them in person, live. I'll do my very best to answer for you. And if I can't answer, I'll ping the people who know the answers, and we can answer it the next time that we talk. Vet? No, that is not a vet. That is a Jaguar F-Type. For those of you who are car or know me, I'm a car guy. I love cars. I've got some pics on my old site, rc-sub.com, if you ever want to see my old car collection. But today, I wanted to talk about a few different things. Number one, and this was posted up, I believe, on, I think it was a subcommittee, or maybe on my forums at forum.rc-sub.com. It's an easy way for you to launch and retrieve your submarine. So if any of you guys have ever tried to launch a submarine in a swimming pool, you know it's pretty problematic if you don't want to get wet. So the solution to that is to either build, create, or buy a submarine retrieval device. And what was actually recommended is something that looks like this. This is a little folding trolley. Let's see if I can deploy this. There we go. So that is what it looks like when it's all deployed. The whole thing folds up into a neat little package. It's aluminum and plastic. So the cool thing is when you are at the side of a pool, you can just drop this in, scoop up your boat, and then haul it out. Now, I've not used it actually yet because I just got this a little while ago. You need to make sure it keeps vertical, but the wheels are really cool because they'll roll up inside of a swimming pool, or of course you can roll it in a pond, up and out of the pond. So if you were to, say, build a swiveling cradle, keep your boat level, this would be an excellent way to launch and retrieve your boat. It's about 20 bucks. You can get it on Amazon. You might want to check it out. If you run your boat regularly, if it's a heavy boat, particularly the big submarines, for example, the Type 21, 30th scale, Type 21, I mean, I'm guessing that thing is probably going to end up weighing somewhere in the vicinity of like 60 pounds maybe when it's all finished. That's not the kind of thing that you want to stoop over and pick up. It would certainly affect your back after a while hauling that thing in and out. So, sub launch and retrieval. Check it out on Amazon. It's like a folding trolley. Again, aluminum plastic. It's not going to corrode or anything. Super easy. Folds flat, put in the back of the car, and you're good to go. So that's very cool. I saw a question in there about pairing a radio to a Sombra Labs receiver. So for those of you that don't know, Sombra Labs was a company that was out, I believe it was a Canadian company, years and years ago, and they had synthesized receivers. It was the coolest thing ever. So you don't need crystals. They would actually be able to be programmed for the frequency that you're operating on. They would operate or recognize frequencies anywhere in the 72 to 75 megahertz band. So you didn't need to have separate crystals or anything like that. There's two ways to pair those receivers to a transmitter. The first one is utilizing the Sombra Labs Shadow Programmer. And that's basically a little, rather than just talking, why don't we see if I've got one here. I'm not going to actually program anything. Oh, that's a receiver. Hold on. I'm looking. There's one in here somewhere. I'm not going to be able to find it on such short notice. But anyhow, it looks like a little, almost a receiver by itself. I'm sorry, I can't dig it up. Anyhow, it's this little unit, and you plug it into the top of the receiver. You dial it in to the frequency that you want it to do, power up the receiver, hit the button, blue light flashes, and it's set to your frequency. That is it. That's as easy as it gets. Now, if you don't have the Shadow Programmer, the SL8 8-channel has another way of doing it. You jumper channel 8, the two outside prongs of channel 8, power on the receiver, and it goes into seek mode. And you'll see the servos are going to twitch about 2 times per second. It'll be twitch, 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 and it's looking for an active RC frequency in 72 to 75 megahertz. Turn on your transmitter, keep it close, 2 to 3 feet, and eventually it'll pair up. All the servos will go to neutral, power everything off, pull the jumper off, and you're good to go. So those are the two ways to pair up a Sombra Labs receiver to any FM transmitter that you. Man, I'm sorry guys, I'm having connectivity issues, but at any rate, that is the way that you pair that up. Let's take a look here and see what we've got for general question. How do receivers work underwater? Ultra low frequency or a trailing antenna like a sonar array? No, it is nothing anywhere close to that complicated. So radio waves or electromagnetic waves actually propagate through water fairly well, and through fresh water particularly fairly well. When you start getting contaminants in the water, such as minerals, chemicals, or biological material, that begins to severely affect the propagation of the electromagnetic wave through the liquid medium that we are discussing. The higher the frequency, the more difficulty that electromagnetic frequency has to penetrate said water, and as well you lose power, you lose signal strength at the air-water interface level. So the higher the frequency, the more tendency those radio waves have to skip off the surface of the water and not penetrate. So from an RC submarine operational perspective, you want very low frequency. In Europe, they got 40 megahertz radios, which are excellent. In North America, you've got 72 megahertz, which is in theory only reserved for aircraft frequencies. Of course, that's all gone away because anybody who's worth their feathers is using gigahertz radios right now for air. And then surface frequency, 75 megahertz, which is technically what our boats should be operating on. That works very well. So those radio waves are transmitted from the transmitter, from that very large antenna that sticks up in the air. They hit the surface of the water, they penetrate the water, and they reach our boats just fine. The amount of depth that you can get to control your boat is a function of the distance, the horizontal distance away, and the vertical depth of your boat. So the further away it is, the more shallow you'll be able to go before you lose signal to your boat. So just kind of bear that in mind. I have been standing over my boat on a boardwalk, and I've got well into 30 feet. I put my boat right on the bottom. It was beautiful clear water back in Victoria, BC. I could still see it at 30 feet of depth. And I had perfect control of my boat at that particular time. Now, if I was 100 feet away, that would probably not have been the case. For those of you who are interested, you can absolutely operate your RC submarine from under the water. A gentleman by the name of Greg Sharp actually built an underwater transmitter, and he went scuba diving with his RC submarines in a lake called Sprout Lake up in British Columbia, and he's got some very cool photos of him scuba diving with his Alpha submarine patrolling around him underneath the water. In theory, he should have been able to control that from a vast distance because that air-water interface went away. Let's see if there's anything else that I missed here in the chats. Oh, we got quite a few things going on here. Have I ever done any other RC hobbies? You know, I have. I got into RC Nitro monster trucks, the four-wheel drive monster trucks with the glow engines. That was pretty cool. I got into that for a little while, kind of lost interest just because it was hard to find spots to operate them in. Of course, in hindsight, much easier to do that than to find a nice clear water to operate an RC submarine in, but that is the way that it goes. And I have also dallied, and I still operate and own several drones, quadcopters, and I love the video footage. A friend of mine did some RC drone footage, Al Nusifora, up from Venice there. You take a look at my video here on YouTube of the OTW Type 7 buildup. There's some awesome drone footage following the Type 7 submarine on the water. So that was something else that I got into there for a while as well. There was a question in here, I think it was about like maximum boat size recommended. That is absolutely a function of a few different things. Number one, your personal preference. I'm a big sub guy myself. They behave more realistically. They're easier to operate. They don't porpoise as easily. Components are larger. Things are easier to work on, but they are much harder to transport. They take up way more room to store. They're harder to launch, and they're harder to retrieve. On the flip side, smaller subs tend to be a little bit less expensive. The components cost about the same, almost exactly the same. So you're, at the end of the day, the overall boat may just be a couple $100 cheaper for a 3-foot boat as it would be for a 7-foot boat, for example. So, but if you live in a small house and you don't have a lot of room to store things, if you just want to throw something in the back seat and be able to go to the pond, that would be the way to go. Personally, I can't stand fiddling with the little tiny servos, little tiny receivers, little tiny linkages, no room, but personal preference. Do whatever suits you. Let's see what else we got. You guys have been pretty good about asking questions. What do you make your models out of? So right now I would say there's probably 3 different main materials that you are going to see RC submarine hulls constructed from. The first one, such as what you would see right here, this is a trumpeter, 1/48 scale Type 7, that I'll be doing up for static display for a gentleman. But those are styrene plastic. And there's a lot of kits out there that are about $150, about 72nd scale typically. Lots of like the German Type 7, the German Type 9, US Gato class, the US skipjack class, the German Type 23. These are all kits that you can get for about $100 to $150. And they convert quite readily to RC operation. They're sizable enough to install all of the running gear, and they work quite well. The second thing is fiberglass, and that's what the big Type 21 over there was made from. And really, the true RC sub purists are going to say that's what you make an RC sub hull out of. It's durable. It's not going to flex as much. It is not going to warp as much in the sunlight or heat. Again, much more durable and to a certain degree easier to work with. So fiberglass, that's the other thing that they're made from, fiberglass and resin with the detail pieces. The last one is kind of a newcomer to the scene. That's 3D printed parts. So we're going to be talking about plastics, and most 3D printers use PLA plastic, which is actually a corn oil derivative. It's not perfectly suited. It does tend to expand or soften quite a bit in the heat. It's not super UV stable. For our applications, it's perfectly fine. But you can also 3D printed ABS plastic, nylon. They've got filaments right now that actually are printing in metal. It's pretty cool stuff, and we're seeing a lot of kits like Otto out of the Czech Republic, and you've seen some of my videos where I review his kits. Those are 3D printed parts, and we're going to see more and more and more of these in the future. I'm a huge proponent of 3D printing. I think it is the future. It is the way to go, much to some purists' chagrin. But, adapt or die, this is the way that it's going to work. 3D printing is going to be the future of these kits, I think. And it's going to offer the ability for somebody to say, hey, I want a 72nd scale model today, and tomorrow I'll print it off in 96 scale for the next guy. And hey, I've got a few weeks to kill. Let's print one off in 32nd scale. And you don't need to create new masters. You don't need to create new molds. You don't need to do all the casting. It's pretty cool stuff. So plastic, fiberglass, styrene plastic. Those are kind of the three different materials that we're talking about. Let's see what I missed from how do you get all your subs? Well, they're just like anybody else. I can buy the hulls from extremely talented individuals who like to manufacture them, or I can build them, as I have done many times before. So really there's two things. You buy the hull or you build the hull. There's two ways to do it. Is there any benefit for controlling dive planes independently for banked turns? So typically speaking, if you built your sub properly, a submarine is exceptionally statically stable. So it is always going to want to right itself. The issue is when you've got submarines with large sails, large conning towers, like the Upholder class, for example. And what ends up happening with those submarines under speed is you get something called SIR, S-I-R, sail-induced roll. And what will end up happening, which is pretty cool actually, is the submarine will bank like a fighter jet into a turn. Now the issue is when you turn the submarine at 45 degrees, the rudder is now acting a little bit vertically. So now that you're banked, that rudder is hard over and you're nosing down. This is all bad stuff. So there's a few different things that you can do to counteract this. Number one, what most people do is you're just very gentle, ginger with your turns. You don't do a full speed turn, or if you do, you quickly learn to give it some up planes to counteract the rudder action. What I've also heard of people doing is having differential control of the forward dive planes through an automated pitch control. So that actually allows the front dive planes to create a righting moment for the submarine as it goes into that bank, and that's controlled automatically. The third thing that people have done is to have a 2-axis weight. People have done that for pitch control, and typically they utilize their battery. So they put their battery on a slider, it moves back and forth. Move it forward, the boat tips forward. move it backward, the boat tips backward. Well, you can also go side to side and it'll do the same thing. Now, this is a lot of complication. What the US actually did, and they experimented with all the different variations of the albacore, and this is a kit that's going to be coming out very soon, by the way, mastered by David Merriman. It's the albacore with the sail-mounted rudder. And the only purpose behind that was to control the horizontal tilting moment for the submarine, so it would counteract that sail-induced roll. So hopefully that answered your question. That was a little bit long-winded. Hopefully that worked. Where can you get a good RC sub? www.nautilusdrydocks.com. 1/200 scale, dude. Why are you playing with such tiny, tiny, tiny boats? Don't do it. You can do it, but I'm not going to help you do it. That's ridiculous. You're crazy. 1/200 scale. That's a bathtub toy, dude. That's not an RC submarine. Or larger. Oh, there you go. Let's talk about typical scales for RC submarines. I can touch on that really quickly. Usually the smallest scale that you're going to see is about 1/144 scale. That's going to be plastic model kits like the Trumpeter Astute, the Trumpeter Kilo, those kinds of boats. The Trumpeter Seawolf. Trumpeter puts a lot of those 1/144 scale kits out, and there's a lot of control kits for converting those to RC that you can get, including at www.nautilusdrydocks.com, which I have a very vested interest in. I would say probably one of the more common scales, at least here in North America, is 96 scale. Results in a fairly substantial boat, typically around 3 feet, 3 to 4 inches in beam. That's enough for a lot of people to get an operational boat. Then you drop into 1/72 scale and you get into the Revell of Germany kits. Those are like the Type 7 kits, the Type 9 kits, the US Gato class kit. 1/72 scale. 1/48 scale, just like that Trumpeter U-boat I showed you a few moments ago, the ARC model Type 7. 1/50th is a fairly common scale as well. You got the 1/50th scale OTW Upholder, for example, or the 1/50th scale or 1/48 scale skipjack from De Boer hulls. A lot of those are out there for the bigger boats. And then for those sick bastards like myself who love big boats, you get into the 32nd scale boats, and that nets the big 8-9 foot boats that we were talking about before. So those are the common RC subscales that you are going to see out there. And again, there's no right size, there's no wrong size. It is 100% up to your personal preference. Let's see here. I think I've got through all of the comments. That's good for now. We got lots of you around here. There's like 30 of you. That's really cool. I wanted to take a few minutes. I'm going to try and keep my eye on the chat here. How are we doing for time? Let's take a look at this. Oh, we're only 20 minutes in. All right. I posted a pretty popular video a little while ago, and it pertained to quick and dirty weathering. And I'm going to show you how I did this. Now, these are some leftover styrene pieces from that 48 scale Type 7 kit. I want to show you a quick and dirty method of creating realistic weathering and rust effects. Specifically rust effects. I'm not getting into the rest of the weathering today. What you're going to need: some base flat acrylic, so it's water soluble, it's clear, flat. Some pastel powder. You can make this yourself out of pastel chalks or oils. Just use some sandpaper, grind it up. I bought these. This is called gritty yellow. You want something that's kind of a lightish, brownish, yellowish color. And then you're also going to want a dark brown, reddish, primery looking color, a paintbrush, and a mixing palette. This is just the lid off of a crumbled feta cheese container. And of course, your parts. Now, like I said, I am going to make a video here shortly about a very in-depth weathering procedure for that Type 7. It's going to involve multiple weathering techniques, including hairspray, salt chipping, washing, dry brushing, pastels. I mean, it'll be everything. But for now, this is super quick and dirty. It's what I used on that big Type 21. Let's get into it. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix up some of this rust. And we're going to start with the light colors. I'm going to mix up my flat base. And all I'm going to do is grab some of that powder and I'm going to mix it with this flat base until you get a consistency almost like toothpaste. Okay, so you want it fairly thick and muddy. Now when you're doing rust, pay attention to places that rust would typically come from. So I'm going to dab just a little bit of this underneath, like these nut, for example, just a little dab. And then what I'm going to do quickly before it dries, I'm just going to take my finger, I'm going to streak it downwards. So, I mean, look how cool that looks already. I mean, seriously. Pay attention to where it makes sense that rust would gather. So nuts, bolts, corners, edges, and just use your finger and drag that stuff downward. If you don't like it, you got a little bit of time to wipe it off with a rag. So really cool, right? Hopefully you can see that. So that's done. Now what you need to do is create the reason that that rust formed. And typically that is obviously a breach in the paint. You know, it bubbled up, cracked. So I'm just going to take a little dab of this dark brown paint, a very tiny dab, and I'm just going to create like a little origin. And this would typically be like on the edges of panels. And that creates that focus point for the weathering. So like you can see, this took all of what, like 2 minutes maybe, but it's giving you actually a really realistic portrayal of the rust. Now what you're actually going to find is as this dries, that yellow is going to get really bright, like a bright yellow color. And the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to seal this all in with like a semi-gloss clear enamel. And that will dull down that crazy bright yellow, and it'll actually add a third color to the weathering. You'll have a more faded yellow color, the brighter yellow colors at the corner, and then that dark reddish brown color at the origin. So 3 steps. You've got that paste of pastel chalk, you've got the dark brown origin, and then you've got the top coat of a semi-gloss enamel. So if you're interested in weathering, you know, like a World War II fleet boat, you know, this is obviously like gray. That's what I would do for a really quick and easy way to portray rust on that boat. Lots of different ways to go about it, and there's people much more talented than I am who have much better videos on YouTube for you to follow. But as I said, that's my quick and dirty method I'll be creating a much more involved video in the future for that Type 7 boat that you guys will be able to take a look at. I think there was a question. Do I do any shows here in Florida? You know, I haven't had the opportunity to, mainly because I've got a day job. So traveling is pretty problematic for my hobby, which is what this is. It makes it kind of difficult to get the time to go out there and do it. That may change in the near future. Stay tuned for more details. It's pretty exciting, but don't tell anybody that I told you about that. Cool stuff. If you are in Florida or if you are anywhere in the world and you want to come down and visit me, let me know when you're going to be here and I will make time for you. We can go to my shop, which is across the street from here. I can show you all the RC sub goodies that I've got over there, and we can come back to my garage here, my workshop, where I build the subs, and I can show you what I got going on. Hopefully in the next couple months I'll have operational boats here. Heck, we may go to the pond, we'll throw them in. If you don't have a sub of your own, you can run one of mine. I'll show you what it's like. We'll get you hooked on this hobby, and that will be the end of your money. Come anytime. Sales kit for motorized submarine, nautilusdrydocks.com, man. I got pretty well everything that you need there. If you don't see what you need, let me know and I will be able to find it for you. Pretty well everything that you need to RC submarine-ize almost anything can be got, built, or sourced for you. The part that I was weathering, that was the, this is an interior part for the Trumpeter Type 7 kit. That is an astounding kit, by the way. I've got 2 more of those in stock if you guys are looking. It is a complete 48 scale Type 7 submarine with a full interior, and half of the boat, as you can see here, is clear. It's see-through. Can you see my finger through there? So you can actually see all of the really cool details inside the boat as well. This is not getting built up with a full interior. I do not have the time to do that. That is like months and months and months of work. But there are threads. If you go to forum.rc-sub.com, there's 2 or 3 threads of amazing builds that people are doing, and they're going even beyond the base kit to make them accurate. Question from David there. Am I back to shipping? Yes, I got back today. First batch went out. I shipped out 15 orders today. I've got 8 more queued up. I got back ordered on some parts. Got some from Canada coming in. I got some from California coming in. I got some from Czech Republic that are coming in. They're all coming in. And then those will be cleared up. So if you're waiting for parts, thank you for your patience. Today was the first day that I went back to my poor dusty shop and remembered what it was like to get in there. If you want something, should be able to get it out for you guys pretty quick. Question about the video on weathering. If you take a look at crazy thing, if you take a look at my channel, my YouTube channel, it will, and search for weathering German Type 21. It'll show you that. But from a product perspective, these are all Tamiya products, acrylics, both the flat clear and the brown. Use your judgment, man. I am not brand, loyal. I'll use whatever is best, whatever is cheap, whatever is easiest, whatever I think works best for the application. I seem to like the Tamiya stuff though. It's pretty good. Apologize, man. My gimbal is like all messed up. It decided to fall asleep on me, which is why my camera is going crazy on you guys. See if it stays on here now. See what else I missed in here. How quickly can I ship to the UK? I could ship tomorrow, and it would probably take 10 days to 2 weeks. The big thing, the big question mark is customs. I have no control over that. I have no control over what they charge you for duties and taxes. That's just an unfortunate fact of life, but I can ship it tomorrow. If you want something, let me know. I send you tracking information. You can check it on its journey. Do you have any 1/144th Seawolf parts in stock? Why does that keep going away on me? I gotta see what you guys are saying. 1/144th Seawolf. Yes, I have kits. I have cylinders. Anything that you need, basically. The fittings kits are gone. They're not around anymore. For those of you that know, I offered at one time fittings kits from David Merriman, and basically they made it easier to convert those plastic model kits to RC control. Those are not around anymore. That does not mean that you cannot convert them. It just means instead of like a pre-done resin part to mount the cylinder, you have to actually make it out of plastic parts, you know, and mount brass rods in the dive planes. This is all very, very doable. If you're interested, let me know. Reach out to me by email. Email is always best to get a hold of me because I'll check my phone constantly. Bob@rc-sub.com or sales@nautilusdrydocks.com. I will be able to get back to you right away, typically within a few hours, but for sure within 24. I'll get you all of that information. What did I get from the Czech Republic? Those of you, again, that have followed my channel, I've reviewed kits from Otto Gurza. He makes the 3D printed RC submarine. And he also makes excellent brass photo etch, which I carry as well for the Revel kits, the Arc model kits, the Trumpeter kits. Those are all available and they're all on my website. You can take a look at them and buy them, please. Alvin, you know, I apologize, guys. This is going to be shaky for a second. I got to dismount my phone. There we go. I love Alvin, and yes, that is something that is going to be in the works. Is it going to be soon? Probably not. I got lots and lots and lots of other things going on right now. If you want to commission me for a build, that's a different story. I can put more focus on that if you're willing to pay for it versus having to create a product and hope like heck somebody buys it. So let me know what you're what you're after, and we can take it from there. If you're interested, though, I have built a beautiful Alvin kit. I've got that video on my channel. Search for Alvin. Turned out really, really well. What got me into submarines? Am I a vet? Okay, everybody asks me that, and maybe it's my short hair. It just looks short because there's so much gray in here, I think. No, I'm not a vet. I'm not ex-military. I'm not a policeman. I got into subs because I thought they were cool as heck, and just decided that I wanted to build one day before I had any common sense. That was back in 1999. Built my first one. Took me 3 years. Yeah. And about 11, 12 years ago, I started building them for other people. But I just thought submarines were the coolest thing. When I was young, I always drew pictures of RC submarines and how I was going to do that. Progress on DSRV? No progress on that. Obviously, I've had some setbacks that have affected my ability to get stuff done. But it is still in the works. And as I said, there's a possibility that is growing daily that I may have in the nearish future-ish additional time to allocate to the hobby and to this business. And if that's the case, you're going to start seeing some exponential increase in velocity for projects and products. You know, again, if the DSRV is something that you want, you need, you want to get done, let me know and we'll see what we can make happen. You know, it's a big difference making a one-off as a prototype versus creating a product, because then we're starting to talk about prototype, creating instructions, doing testing, doing marketing, you know, all of that stuff, which it creates a very long and involved process when you do it properly. So that is the case on the DSRV. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Google the Mystic DSRV. Check that out. It's a pretty cool deal. I've got everything done. I just need to build the prototype. create the instructions, get it done. But more on that in the future. I'm running out of gas in the gas tank. I've fighting a flu on top of everything else. I came back from Houston in surgery to a sick mother-in-law who infected my son, who infected my wife, who infected me. So I am fighting a flu. General health perspective, once I'm over the flu, I think it'll be good. I'm walking around fine now. Things are going good. Technically, I'm not supposed to lift anything more than 5 pounds. Or my abdomen could split open and my intestines could spill out, and that would be kind of sucky. But I think that's just the doctors being a little overly cautious. I'm feeling really good right now. Quick question from Greg there. Are the cylinders capable of emergency blow? Yes, they are. The subdrivers have something what is called an emergency blow module. Or emergency gas backup system. And basically what that is a compressed gas cylinder inside. And when you connect that to your battery link and monitor, if your radio receiver loses communication with the transmitter, it will blow ballast, literally blow ballast. It will vent a burst of that gas into the ballast tank, bring the submarine up to the surface until communication is re-established. And that's all configurable by the owner. You can tell it how long you want to wait before it blows, how long to blow it for, and what to do afterwards. So that's pretty cool. That's the BLM battery link and monitor module available on my site, and then the emergency gas backup system. $50 and $75 respectively for any subdriver that we have on the website. The BLM also, by the way, works with any ballast system. You simply connect your ballast driver, be it a pump or motor controller or whatever that is, to the system, loses signal. It says, hey, let's get up to the surface and see if we can get communication reestablished. It blows ballast, throws all the water out of the ballast tank, surfaces, and reestablishes communication. So it is a super awesome module. I recommend it for absolutely everybody. And it has the added benefit of monitoring your battery voltage. So if it drops below a preset level, depending on what kind of battery you're running, be it a lead acid battery, nickel metal hydride battery, lithium polymer battery, it knows when low battery situation is in effect, and it will not let you dive. Pretty cool. Locks out your ballast system. So if you're ever playing with it and you try and dive, it's not diving, you know it's time to come back in for a top up on your battery. That's about all I've got for you guys today. I'm starting to go hoarse. I think I'm going to let you guys go. I'll give you a few minutes, a few seconds to come up with any last minute questions. But if not, anytime, anywhere, any place, send me a message, an email to sales@nautilusdrydocks.com or bob@rc-sub.com. I will be happy to get back to you. If there's something that you want me to demo, like for example, that little weathering technique there, let me know. I'll queue it up for the next time. I try and run these things about once every month. Always looking for ideas. Don't always keep you put this on me. Let me know what you need. Mentioned I'm going to be starting a new Nautilus build. Any idea when? Yeah, now. Ugh. This is the beginnings of the interior kit. If you guys know the Salon, this is the forward end there in 32nd scale. Again, all 3D printed parts. So that's going to be, it's going to be like a super sub build, I guess you can call it. That thing is going to have operational lights, sound, motorized, this, that, the other thing, removable panels, full interiors, and everything. It's going to be cool as heck. But right now I need to focus on this, the guts and gizmos for the Type 21, what you can see here. Like I told you guys, this is a really complicated cylinder setup. So certainly the most complicated that I've tackled. It's actually 2 separate cylinders working in tandem together to drive the boat. Reason being, it's got operational periscopes, which splits the cylinder in half. So I've actually got 2 receivers in one boat, one in the front, one in the back, both operating on the same frequency from the same transmitter, controlling all this stuff. So that's what we have got going on. Type 21, Nautilus build, quick build up on that Type 7 for a display. And in the meantime, lots of other small projects. Try and put videos out on everything. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, the RCSubGuy. I'm going to let you guys go. I really appreciate you chiming in. Make sure you keep coming back and let me know if there's anything that I can do to help get you along in this amazing, awesome, stupendous hobby of RC submarining. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy, signing off for now. Thanks everyone for joining me. We will